All right, good morning, guys. Welcome to another Charts and Chill. So yeah, excited to be back. It's going to be good. Let me know in the chat if you can hear me okay. If the mic's going all right. Hope everyone had a good New York session. Some nice expansion there. Finally getting some of our weekly range expansion. Very good. All right, so we're going to start. We're just on the weekly at the moment, but I'll dive right into the 12 month and we'll step down our time frames and go from there. We've got a clean chart. Let's begin. So down onto the 12 monthly, we're still expanding quite nicely. We had this our very short block here, which then becomes our bullish OB. Once we come up and we flip that, which we can see respected quite nicely, come back up, we come down, creating a nice wick at the moment for the 12 monthly and pushing up. Price unable to get below 50% of this very short block. Jump into our 6 monthly. A very nice one here. So this opens low, sweeps these lows here, comes back into this SIBI here, which was part of this manipulation swing, touches the SIBI, expands up, and then closes above the previous 6 monthly candle. And this was also going into an OTE of this swing. We grab that at the same time. So we've gone up, we come back down, tag OTE here. Let me change my cursor, guys, so you can see this a bit better. Comes into OTE here, into that SIBI of the manipulation swing, and continues up. Three monthly, we then have another order block here. So respecting 50% of that order block, and that was the down close candle that was responsible for the break of the high here. So that becomes a POI, point of interest. So you trapped shorts in here, which then get released on this move, giving it strength to push up. So we go into the monthly, and then obviously that was that order block on the 3 monthly. So then we get those 3 candles down we see on the monthly, which we come back into for that push. Let's just get rid of these drawings, make this a little bit cleaner. No OT there. So then we have this nice low pivot here on the monthly. BPR in here, which we haven't come back to test. And this very nice candle here, this is our swing failure pattern. So once that was locked in, you can see it comes down, sweeps all the lows that we have here. Closes back in the range into this previous candle, and then we can target that candle high, which we can see here was hit straight away in May. Hey Crypty, thanks for jumping in. It's a very nice pivot here on the monthly. This is what we like to see as well on the lower time frames. If we're looking at a 5-minute manipulation, come back up. Swing failure pattern, normally something like this down into TDO, into midnight open, at around that 9:30, 10 o'clock, even for a 10 o'clock open low into a high close. So nice structure here on the higher time frame there on the monthly. Going into our weekly. So we've had our weekly change in state delivery here. This is our manipulation swing, break here, and expand up. So if we zoom in a bit more, we can do a standard deviation pull from this on the weekly, but we'll do that on the daily as well, which is a little bit lower. So our current week open low, and we're pushing up. Looking like a bullish week. We've got this candle here. This was our manipulation swing so far on the weekly. So we're watching 50% of this candle to hold, which we can see we're not getting candle closes at the moment below there. We have this a bit lower here. And then we can mark out the top of this candle as our current bullish order block. Everyone been having a good week so far? Doing okay for the start of the month? Going well? Yeah, I'm going good. Enjoying the price action so far, and just always at the start of the month, nice and cautious, trying to work out, where the manipulation of the month is going to be, if the month's going to be open, low, high close, or if we're going to go straight up, open, high, low close, and just working through step by step, which is good with these top-down analysis to help as well. So been watching this order block on the weekly, watching how this week's been playing out. We'll jump into our daily. Yeah, you've been doing well, Cryptic. Been enjoying seeing you getting some trades that are lasting a bit longer. Getting some nice extensions. So on our daily, we'll go back to this pivot point here. And we can run our standard deviation now from the high down to the low. So the high that made the low. Change this to SD. And we'll mark out these levels. 1.5 being our main one now to watch. So for those that are new to standard deviations and the way that I use them, I look for the manipulation zones. And this is what I do on a 5-minute chart as well during the daily and paired with the 4-hour time frame. So we're looking for these clean manipulation swings, and then we do a standard deviation pull from the high to the low, or vice versa if we're bearish. And then we're looking at our first take profit at that SD 1.5, which is what's going here on the current daily. Once we reach SD 1.5, we then look for price to reaccumulate. Reaccumulate up here, we normally get a low swing rate, and then continue up to that next standard deviation level. And then reaccumulation again at SD 2.5, we get a low rate, and we push up into here, where we look to get out. How do you go about picking manipulation legs on the higher time frame? So if we work our way back, should we start on the weekly? So we're looking for those main sort of like these V moves, right? We come down, we take the best ones are where you sort of get it, equal lows, and then a nice sweep, and then we can draw out that zone. So if we're looking at the weekly, we've got this one here. Oops. We drag that across. We can step them up as they start to mitigate. So we can go to our next one here. Grab this whole swing. What I mean by mitigating is that price comes at, like, so we manipulate down, price is being sold, forced down, and then as we break out, price has to come back and mitigate the trap shorts used to manipulate price. And that's what causes these strong up moves. So we come back out, we retest there, push up. Oops. This is our reaccumulation. This is what I'm talking about around the SD 1.5. This is the sort of pattern that you see. We build liquidity along here. We sweep the lows, which is also like an SBS too, if we count that out. So we go, so we have our breakout. 1, 2, 3, and then we're looking for that sweep of 2, which is just a low rate, and then price comes back to hit 3. So we can keep drawing on those manipulation swings. And so a good example here with this low, price comes back. So this was unmitigated. So shorts were used here to take out these lows to build the long position. And then price needs to come back and mitigate those positions. We build up equal lows along here, and we come back, mitigate. And now this is our main swing here. And then we do the same thing as we're going down in time frame to BMB. So main manipulation ones, I want to see those nice sort of V shapes, I guess, are the cleanest ones. So we can do the same here on the daily. Price breaks out, comes back, respects 50% of the zone. We can see this one's unmitigated as well. So later on, if September does turn around, you know, and we get something back in like this, and then a bullish October, we can watch these zones that haven't been mitigated. And we compare them also with a standard deviation from a high swing. Cool. Alrighty, so we've got our daily one up here. We zoom right into our daily. Been watching this current low one on the daily here. So this order block, which is responsible for the breakout. Yeah, Q2, Q3 on the 90-minute cycle are sort of the more common quarters that you'll see it happen. So we currently have this down close candle here. This is like those tweezer lows that are like on the 5-minute. Ideally though, we want to see that candle close. So we would have wanted to see this candle here just close above the open there. It's still respected 50%, and it's respected 50% this whole time, all the way across. Our high here. So this is our current daily range. We do the same with the high swing. So from the low that made the high. So we want to see how price reacts now with 50% of this. And also we have that daily civvy in here as well. But, you know, we're pretty bullish. We've taken out low here. We're expecting 50% of this. So if we come up and we flip this civvy and continue up, take out the high. Once we get into then mid-September, you know, it gives us an idea if the monthly is sort of going to open high and then come back down and take out some of these lows and come back and maybe revisit the unmitigated order block. It's going to be interesting to watch. Definitely left some points of interest lower. Like we've got this BC in here that's also untested. So pretty keen to see how September plays out. Yeah, pretty bullish week so far. And 4 hour I'll just touch on, and then we'll open up our 1 hour chart, which has a bit more information on. This 4 hour is a good example as well, BNB. So we have this this swing here. Price comes back into it. We come back again, still respecting 50%. And then we can draw on another zone here. And we can move this one up to this 4 hour swing here. So this was our manipulation high, which you can see it has been mitigated. That came back in. We do have all this liquidity here, which would be nice if we have a bit of expansion today and get to those areas. And then everyone that's shorting here, gets wrecked and it just pushes up. We either come down or we take out that high. So on the high time frames, we can just keep mapping out these legs, and then just keep stepping up with them as they play out. Price comes back and mitigates them. All right, we'll go down to our 1 hour. I'll just clear this chart, and I've got my 1 hour chart saved. Turn this on. So for the 1 hour, I use the 1 hour to plan out the week, basically. So looking for 1 hour, 1 hour zones on the high or the low. Nice clean pivots, and then we can use our standard deviation on those and use them for the weekly expansion. So you're using the 1 hour paired with the weekly candle. So we can put our PO3 on here, have that set to the week. Just move this over a little bit. Okay. So this now gives a good idea of how the week's playing out. Right, so we've got our weekly open. Our weekly open here. We've gone open, manipulate down, and now we're going for a high, ideally a high close. So nice big strong weekly candle. Sorry, how do you go about marking out SBS? I didn't get how you guys mark it out. Yeah, I can. We can go over that if we've got time as well. I'll touch on that a bit later. All right, so with our low, we've gone down. So plausible low of the week coming in at a Tuesday. We normally see a low or high of the week on a Monday or a Tuesday. So we've got. So this is our Monday range here, right? With no clear manipulation swings on either side. Then we open into Tuesday, we come down, and now we've got a clean manipulation zone. And we've come down, we've taken out PDL, we've taken out the previous week low, and expanded up. So we can then draw on our zone. And we can say that at this stage, this could be the low of the week. And we got all these relative equal highs along here, internal liquidity, and all of this that was built up at the end of last week. This is what actually from this Thursday, I was looking for this to actually get taken manipulate below to TDO and come up, and then we get our breakdown leading into this week. But it's just left all this liquidity and then manipulated down for this weekly open. So when doing up these charts, we're doing vertical lines at our midnight opens. And we do our horizontal lines for each true day open. And then we're looking for manipulation on the opposing side of the true day open. So we can see, good example here on Wednesday, come up, we come back and touch it, and then expand higher. And what we've just had come up, so this is sort of our Asia and London, right? Like a PO3. So we're accumulating in here. We manipulate below true day open, back into this order block here that I've been watching. So this was our order block responsible for manipulating price, a key zone. And once I've been looking for that to get flipped and then price to expand, which is why I've got that flip me and send here I had on for the last few days. So we come back up, retest that, and then just expand up. Accumulation, manipulation under true day open into expansion. And that's our main expansion really for the week, for most of this candle coming up. And hitting our weekly open there as well. So all of this is just creating the weekly wick. So same thing, we're looking on those 5-minute candles. I'm looking for a manipulation underneath a 4-hour open to create a 5-minute zone, and then we want to try and catch that expansion on the 4-hour. Any questions on the 1-hour chart, guys? So we can see from our previous high here, we had a manipulation swing. We come down to SD 1.5, re-accumulate for our redistribution, come down to SD 2.5, and then 3.5 to 4.5 is around your smart money reversal, which also then gave us confluence for the low of the week to begin. Yeah, 1 hour is like my roadmap. You know, without having a roadmap for the week, you just sort of, you're gambling really. So yeah, go from use the 1 hour. I keep switching back, which you see like a lot of the time yesterday, I kept reposting the 1 hour chart for what was going on in here. So, you know, as we're coming down here, which I actually posted this in my channel, so we'd come up in Asia and I said, okay, I'm looking for price now to come back, retest this order block because this is unmitigated. The downswing that causes the breakout, price needs to come back and mitigate that. So I'm looking for TDO to open and then to start pushing up into this SIBI here. And that's all planned from the 1 hour. And then we can look for, you know, like these 3 o'clock lows or key pivot times in London to then look for the longs to push up. You know, or in New York, we're waiting for that news to come in. Manipulate below true day open, and that was the push into that SIBI there, which was just blasted straight through. So yeah, I definitely recommend everyone does this on the 1 hour chart and uses the 1 hour chart as a roadmap, and even doing those high time frame ones and just working your way down the time frames until you're seeing that clarity of where price is going. We get the clean draws, can find where price is heading to, especially when it's expanding quickly, and then you can get in on those 5-minute models. How to chart those numbers. Can you be more specific? Do you mean the standard deviation numbers? Like these ones here? Do I usually put limits on? No, I do not just randomly put limits on. I want to be on the computer, I want to be on the chart, and I want to be mapping out that lower time frame manipulation and then I'll put my order on as it's playing out. I'll show you in a sec when we do the daily review how I would trade them. Yeah, so horizontal lines, Alix 220. I'll show you. I'll do a daily chart setup after my daily review, and I'll show you how we'll do these for the 4 hours. But vertical lines are just from here, and we're just clicking on each TDO, so each midnight open. So I do that at the start of the week, getting ready for the next week. All good. Questions are good, man. I enjoy streams that are interactive a lot more than just listening to the sound of my own voice. Well, I have done a video on setting these charts up with Jess as well, which is on my YouTube channel. This is like we're getting some nice continuation here. So definitely coming to a point of interest on the 1 hour chart. I'm watching 50% of this order block. Yeah, ideally we just keep, it'd be nice to keep pushing up. We come back to true day open and then open low, high close for continuation into our high of the week. All right. So yeah, very nice looking 1 hour chart. We've also been playing around with lately doing the 1 hour chart, but instead of using true day open, midnight open, then use the 1800. And the idea around this is we're looking for manipulation for the daily wick. So move sort of manipulation above or below the opposing side of that 1800 open. So we have 1800 open here, manipulation below, and then we push up. 1800 open, which is very similar to true day open here. Manipulate below, this becomes the daily wick, and then so keen to do to run both charts as well from now on, and just to help plot that manipulation on the daily leg. All right, let's jump into our daily review. We'll go into our 5-minute chart. Just turn off PO3. We've had a very nice, nice manipulation here in New York, and that's really the main move of the week, that expansion leg. So we've got our 5-minute manipulation down here from Tuesday. A lot of the week we had SMT here at the low with ES. And then we come back, so we hit SD 1.5, shoots through, only a small pullback there, SD 2.5. This becomes our re-accumulation zone, and then we push up to SD 3.5 here. So same thing, BMB, we can look for those manipulation zones. This is back from Tuesday. We have our Asia manipulation. I'll put our quarters on as well. So we have an Asia Q4 manipulation. We sweep the lows. Price comes down to SD 1.5 of this manipulation swing here. We build up inner range liquidity the whole time. And then we come into London, still sort of respecting our 50% of this zone here. And then we expand out. Expand out during Q2 in London. We come back into the Asia zone. and then expand out again. So mitigates shorts used to manipulate price, pushes out. We then get another zone here, which is our London Q3 zone, and expand out from there as well. Which you'll see, I've got these, I won't mark it up now, I've got them marked out in the daily review from Wednesday. We have our Wednesday manipulation here, which comes back down into those zones as well. So the zones are stacking and then expand up. All right, so now we've got, so for coming into Thursday, we've got PDH, PDL. These are the first things we draw onto our chart. We do our fixed range volume profile. So we're dragging our fixed range volume profile. I can show you that is here, and we're dragging it from PDL to PDH. Sorry, so PDH to PDL to PDH, and that comes in here, and that becomes a point of reference for the day. And we also do our OTE of the daily range as well. So we've got Asia opens up, Q1, little sell-off here, down into 8 o'clock. We sweep the low back to that POC, and then price expands up, create more inner range liquidity here, and push up. And then we have a first manipulation swing here, which is in Q3 of Asia. We draw on our standard deviations here, and our OTE swing from the high to the low. And then we can look for shorts from this zone back down to the low there. Or if we're going to get continuation, we can target SD 1.5 and lower. Drawn out this order block here, which was responsible for the break above the high. And this is what I was watching all day. So this is sort of the line in the sand here for bullish continuation, which I was posting during London in the main chat here. So we're watching. So we're watching this swing here, and I put we want to watch 50% of this order block to see if that breaks for continuation down. Otherwise, it's going to come back up and take Asia high, which I haven't got marked on there. Let me pop that on. So we then get our London Q3 manipulation. These are vertical lines here are our H4 opens. So we're now open low into that order block, and we're pushing up. So we're going to do our standard deviation pull from here. And then we want to look for longs off of this zone. If we draw that on, this becomes our London Q3 manipulation zone. Zoom in a little bit here. So we get our close above here, and then we're looking for entries within the zone. So we can either enter straight off the top of the zone, or we can look for PD arrays within the zone. So we have a BPR here. And then we're targeting, so if we want to enter off the BPR, stop below the zone, and then we're targeting SD 1.5. And we want to align that then with other liquidity levels. So we have like a high here, and our main high, major high at the top there. Can then also, if we're expecting bullish continuation after that, can have another account on, and then we target SD 2.5, and then 3.5 and 4.5 as we're going up. Once we reach that first target, SD 1.5 or even SD1, we can move our stop loss to break even here. So we then come back up, quarter 3 continues up, little manipulation again here, and then we take Asia high, which gives us another zone here for the move down into the New York manipulation. It's the same thing, we can draw a box on that one. And once that breaks, we look for PD arrays within the zone. We have a BPR here. And then we can look for shorts. Once the zone's broken, stop above the zone. And targeting, same thing, SD 1.5. Once we get that expansion back down, we're looking for stop to break even, which probably would have been taken out here during the news, 8:30 news. All right, then we come into New York quarter 3. So over this push up, this takes our London high, manipulates up, comes back down, and now we've got a very clean swing point into New York AM. We have a BPR in here. This is our new H4. So we've opened low, created a zone, a BPR, ideally open low, high close. This is our open. We get a 5-minute break here. We draw on our zone. We've already got that here. So this becomes our NYAM quarter 3 manipulation zone. And then we can either enter off the top of the zone, which we would have needed to for this one. Otherwise, that BPR, which looks like it just missed on that swing. And then we're targeting daily expansion. So we want SD 1.5, 2.5, 3.5, and 4 to 4.5 for the final TPs. Which we just come into and hit SD. Did we get SD4? Yeah, SD4 right at the end. Some nice accuracy on those. Now, so for the SBS, if we want to go over that on this move, let's just move this to the front. So once we get the break above the high, we do our SBS count. So we have break above, so 0 to 1. We get our pullback is 2. 3 takes out 1. And then the sweep of 2 is what we're looking for 4 or 5. And then you normally get that at 3 didn't quite sweep in that case. I wonder if we had SMT there. When we do a OTE pull from the start of the swing to the high, which is normally 3. And we're looking for entries around that 6.2, 7.05 and 7.9. So these OTE levels. And after 2 gets swept. Do I typically take entries on the change state of delivery just lighter, or do you wait for the retest? Lately, I've been entering straight after a inverted FVG lighter, and then entering on other accounts after the after the break. Like if I'm preempting the move, I would enter here after this down close manipulation candle. So I'd enter one position there. Nice swing failure pattern there too with the next candle. And then my next entries would be after the 5-minute break, which was here. So a high risk entry here, and then lower risk entry after the change in state of delivery. And then for the SBS, you're looking for entries after the sweep of 2. Ideally, you want another bullish engulfing, which is here. And then you would enter your stop. Normally, you have your stop below this swing, depending how risk tolerant you want to be. Because we don't know if 5 is going to sweep 4, or if 5 will be high or low. And then you're just targeting the high of 3, like so for the SBS. So if we draw that one out, this is how it normally looks. So we break above the high, that's our 1, come back for 2, 3, and then we're looking for the sweep of 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 5 can either be here or it can be here. We do our OTE pull from 0 to 3, and we're looking for entries around that OTE area. And then normally you would have your stop below this low. Or if we're getting 5 and you want a tighter entry, we have it below 4. Yeah, so once you see 3 and you get that pull, you know, I mean, you can mark out your 1, 2, and then just be waiting. Because this could just keep going up and then we don't get it. But you can mark it out as it's playing out. And then we keep you just keep adjusting your OTE levels as it's moving higher. Once we get that high above 1, we just want to keep moving that up until we get that sweep of 2. Then we're interested. Key is always watching that number 2. We want that sweep. You can also do it, so if we're watching that one in here, and we have that main swing, right, price is coming back into this zone. So we're watching this main candle here, 50% of that. So 2's your trap, come back to 50% of that zone and then push up. All the confidence starts to add up, which is why we like those manipulation swings. So we can class this one as 1. This was the low that was responsible for the break of this high. Draw that box on. We don't want to see that broken if we're bullish, and then we can do our count up. Okay, so we got 1, we come back, we mark out our 2, and then we're normally just waiting for the swing of that high or an SMT here. Then we get our sweep of 2. Everyone that got long in here gets wrecked. We get in down here and target that high. So first account would then be, our take profit would be SD1, which would come up nicely. And normally at SD 1.5, normally at SD 1.5, once that hits, that's when you'll normally see the SBS occur rather than down here. So we hit SD 1.5, the price then comes back, then we get our SBS, and then we push up, and we come to the next leg, SD 2.5. And this is just grind it up, no sweeps all the way, sort of each down close swing gets respected. And just keeps going until here at 4:15. Get a little ray. This takes out both candles. Oops. And normally when you see these, so this is like another manipulation swing, you can draw that out as a box, and then you're looking for price. You know, that sort of becomes your zone until we see either side of that break, and then we look at 50% of that order block to hold from manipulation swings like that, which we've just, sort of come out of and then pushing up now. You can keep this SD 4.5 and move that across. Interesting to see if we get a reaction here. Yeah, because it's in a market maker buy model and the buys just keep going off. Nowhere to sell. This is our 20 SMA. We can see it's just being unable to break. So I don't really want to short. Like if you're looking for shorts up here, we have a like a BISI here that it was trying to invert. You don't want to do that until we get a nice clean break of the low, a 5-minute change in state of delivery, and then come back up from another key zone. So we hit that SD 2.5. So if we broke this candle here, then we could look for shorts back into that zone and continue down. Yeah, high resistance like that and respecting that 20 SMA, you just want to be on board. And ideally, you want to be in one of the moves like this. We get that manipulation swing down. 50% of that is respected, or we wanted that main move from here. And then you can just watch this go and just watch it keep hitting each take profit level. Always best to get in at the origins of the moves if you can. Any questions on the day, guys? So the main trade ideas for the day, we had the break here from Asia, and then we had our manipulation here from London. So we want to long that back up to the previous session high. Break down here, so we could look for shorts for that down to like London low, which didn't get here. That would have been stopped out. And then our main manipulation here for the day, giving the weekly expansion. We want to get in after this break here. Early entries from the close above this down close candle here. And then ride that up to each standard deviation level. All right, I'll get a new chart now and we'll start our daily chart setup. Make sure this is clear. And I'll put this on the 15 minutes just to make it a bit quicker. So when starting our day, the first thing we want to do is PDL, PDH. Just going to put my indicator on here. Just using ICT kill zones and pivots by TFO. Tuesday, New York AM here. And so we're just going to drag them out to 1800. And then I just have templates set up for each one. So PDL, I can just right click just to make it a little bit quicker. PDH come in here. PDL, PDH, and then we're going to do our fixed range volume profile. And we're doing that from the PDL to PDH. You can see our volume came in here, right on that order block. So it's our PM sort of quarter one manipulation, that SBS that we were looking at. Okay, we want previous session high and lows. So NYPM lows here. NYPM high. And we can turn that off now. And then we're going to put in our vertical lines for our H4s. So using vertical line tool here, just putting them in at 1800. Oops. 22, 2, 6, 10, 1400, and then our end of day. The reason for doing this is it helps map out the open low high close or open high low close setups. I'll put the previous one on as well so we can see that, which is nicely here, 10 o'clock open low high close. And then, yeah, very good example. That's also quite clean here on the 15 minute. So this is what I normally call those tweezer lows. If you see them in my daily review, when we see these on a 5-minute chart with that bullish engulfing there, as soon as that closes above, on a 5-minute chart, I like to get long straight from that. Where are we here? Straight from that order block. Oops. And then we can expect 50% of this down close candle here to hold as support. We shouldn't see candle closes below that, otherwise we're wrong. So yeah, seeing this on a 5-minute, really enjoy that. Really like taking them, especially when you see them take liquidity. All right, so we've got our bullish expansion. We're above PDH at the moment. We've done our PDH, PDL, fixed range volume profile, previous session high and lows. And daily OTE was the other thing that we put on. So PDH down to PDL. We just need to turn this around. And then we mark out our PD arrays within the OTE. For today, because we're quite bullish for the week and we're just expanding, I'll normally put 0.25 on as well as an area to watch. Because a lot of the time, when we're having our bullish expansion days, you won't come down into discount. Price will come back to that sort of around the 0.25 area and push up. If we don't just flip PDH here. So we need to watch PDH today. Next, H4 should be interesting. If we do come back to here, get a clean manipulation swing, then we can just keep targeting the highs as we're moving up, each swing high. Being Friday, and after already having a nice expansion day, we do want to make sure we're protecting our capital for the week. You don't want to do any accounts in after having a good week. Once we get our true day open level, we'll put that on as well. Once we hit midnight. And this is that candle that we're talking about. So we can map that out as well at the moment. We'll drag that across. And we'll call that, that was our PM Q3. So we're watching that level for support at the moment until it's not. We can then, if we go back to our 5-minute, so we always want to put on that previous day or previous session standard deviation that the next session is going into. So we want to watch that 4.5 level here. Sorry, for the question I had previously about the horizontal lines, yeah, all I'm using is just the line tool, and then I'm putting them on the standard deviation and drawing them across. And same once we have our true day open and once we have our Asia high and low, we do the same for those as well. So as we're going into each session, we want to draw the previous session high and lows, and they become points of interest for where price is going to draw to. All right, so that's our chart setup for the day. So we're looking for manipulations against order flow to then continue to each high that's been made. Unless we get, say for example, as we come into London, we get a clean manipulation pivot above Asia high after SD 4.5, then we can look for a zone to maybe come back down into around the daily 0.25 or OTE or NYP and low. Any questions, guys? Everyone's gone pretty quiet now. If we put our PO3 back on for the week, move this over a little bit. So as we're making new highs, we can also do our fib, which I'm not sure we'll get a TGIF, but we can draw it on. We want to do our fib of the weekly candle. And then wherever the high comes in, so we can do it from London's high once that comes in. And then again, if New York makes another high, and then our points of interest, if we do get a nice breakdown, are 0.2 and 0.3 here as well for a TGIF. And the whole idea of this and TGIF is for once we get a high here, is then creating the wick of that high. When you draw the fib on the 5 minute, use the wicks of the last swing high. Yeah, so I don't use bodies for mine, I use the wicks. Correct. And we'll put that on. Sorry, I should have actually had that zone drawn on for the daily. So we've got our high, including the wick, to the low. High that made the low. We'll add that to the chart and call that our NYAMQ3. While we're here too, I might turn on C's, one of the indicators I've been using. This one here, and just look at our 4 hour order flow, and we can look at C's in the weekly and see where potential high targets might be. Let's wait for this to load. This has got all our historic ones now. So there are what's the green here is our internal range, so inside the previous H4. And then when it goes to grey is our external range. So once we're above the previous H4s. So we've just come up and we've tapped that H4 median here. And these percentile levels, so in the 50th percentile, 75th. So that meaning that historically these candles, like only 5% has gotten higher than the 95th percentile here. And median levels are normally pretty good to watch for how high. So external median here for that H4. External median for the low on the H4. It's exactly on that low. Let's put it onto our daily and have a look. And then we'll do weekly as well. So daily we have an internal median down here. Internal range is here, which we've just tapped to open and pushing up. External median is here up at around 800, 799. Area to watch there. And if we go into our weekly, just take off those TGIF fields. All right, so weekly, we'll zoom back a bit. So for Tuesday, we came down. This is our weekly external median. So external range being after we swept that previous weekly low, we get the external range, and we came down into the 75th percentile. So only 25% of weekly candles going lower than that area. This is our weekly internal median, so within that previous week. And then the green part will switch to grey if we do come up and break the high up here, which gives us additional percentile levels for higher. So we should be marking out that previous week high. To watch for as well today. The other thing we can do, which I have for these blue lines, these get drawn on automatically for me, but for plausible low of the days, we have the windows of 18 to 1900. So you normally have vertical lines here, and that becomes a plausible low of the day until it's not. And then for London, it's 3 to 4 o'clock. New York is 9:30 to 10, or I've been using to 10:30 as well, as Cozy does. And then the PM session was 1500 to 1600. So make sure you guys start keeping them on your chart just as an idea when you're looking for a potential pivot for a high or low of the day. All right, guys, any other questions? Yes, I've recorded this session. Yep. I will put it on YouTube, and I'll put it in my channel as well. So for each 4 hour, we're either going to look for the open lows into a previous zone and keep pushing up, or we're going to get a clear higher pivot to push back down for TGIF. And quickly draw that on if we get like a London high. So normally London will see around 330. We get a swing like this, even if it's above previous week high. And we're looking for this formation. Let's say we do that, or above Asia, wherever the Asia high comes in. We get this formation. We then put on our standard deviation from the wicks, low to the high. And then we're targeting all of these levels, SD 1.5, 2.5, 3.5, 4.5. We have a couple of options for entries. So we'll draw on our rectangle box. That becomes our zone. We want to get our petty arrays within the zone. So if we get a inverted BISI in this case, we can look from entries from there. This, I mean, it could just come back and just touch the zone as well. We do OTE pull from here to here as well, and we look for around OTE area. And then we put on our shorts. Like so, and ideally on multiple accounts rather than having staggering your exits on one account. We can do it on a few accounts, and we get our full TP on one account at SD 1.5. And the trades would look like so. If we get the breakdown, otherwise we go the other way. So say London, then let's get rid of these. If London comes back in like this at 330, back into this zone, respects 50%, comes back up, then we do our standard deviation pullback the other way. But being end of the week and expanding, we really just want to be getting profit at wherever Asia high ends up, or SD 1.5 or 2.5. Hey Adrian, just joined. Is there one of your vids you'd single out as a good summary of everything? It's a good question, man. I kind of like if you go through some of my daily reviews on YouTube, that a lot of the time I'm covering everything at once. I get a bit excited and dive right in. So some of them do get they are sort of around the 1 hour mark. But there's a lot of good stuff there. Otherwise if you don't want to go through them, just keep waiting for the Thursday night streams, and I try and cover everything as I've done today and answer questions. We keep repeating every week, and then it's all gonna sink in and be good. If we're just consolidating in here and we don't get any clear looking pivots above or below Asia low or high, then we don't have to do anything. I really want those clean manipulation swings. Clean manipulation swings, it gives us something to work with. And yeah, if we do get a nice high manipulation swing, then we do those TGIF levels. We look for 20% to 30% retracement, and we align them with our other liquidity points, so Asia low in this case, and those areas plus the standard deviation levels. All right, guys, I'm going to end it there. Hope that helped and give you a bit of an insight into how I read price. Any other questions, drop them in the chat, and we'll see you in the next one.